No, lesson. Okay, so insurance is one of those ongoing costs. So on your study sheet at one point, you want to have a list of one-time closing costs, right? You want to have a list. Who wants to show off their study sheet and give me a few? Does anybody have a few one time already? Land survey, yeah. What else? Land transfer tax. Lawyer fees. If you want more, I will right now just flip through some pages here and point you to the page that has them all. That'd be 33, right? So I will actually just underneath this say if you want more, page 33 has more. Okay, so I'm reminding you it could be worth 2 whole marks. Like on an exam to get 2 whole marks, like just like that, is huge, right? But to lose them is also huge, right? So you want to be able to have a few one time. This is only 3, you should have probably a couple more. Moving costs would also be there. However, you also want a list of ongoing costs right next to this one. So you want to maybe have that on your study sheet, at least write down the heading on your study sheet, like one time, ongoing, okay? Ongoing obviously means that it just keeps going. It never stops. As long as you own the home, you'll be paying it. And insurance is one of them. Okay. You will not even qualify for a mortgage if you don't have proof of insurance. Okay. You have to have proof that your house is insured before they give you the mortgage. Okay. All right. We're gonna split it into 2. There's tenant insurance and homeowner's insurance. We're first going to start off with tenant. Tenant is when you're renting. Okay, so sometimes people think when they rent they don't need insurance. It protects a person renting, right? It protects their stuff. Because yes, the building is insured by the landlord, but your stuff is not. So if there's ever a fire, which I don't know if you listen to the news, but there's a lot of fires, apartment buildings in particular. And if your neighbor has a fire and it goes into your suite, your stuff is not going to be covered unless you have insurance. So your personal belongings and your stuff is covered under this policy. You should consider tenant insurance if you're renting, and it covers all your belongings. Here's another word for your belongings is the word perils. Your perils is your stuff, okay? Tenant insurance also covers you for potential liability to surrounding structures. Okay, covers potential liability to surrounding structures. So I'll give you an example that's happened to me. In my apartment we had a really gross tub, right? So they redid it, they resurfaced it, and whoever did it didn't fasten all the connections, like the drainage properly. So my kids were having a bath, because when you rent, you don't pay for water, so it's bath day every day. And so that was the sweet thing of renting. And so we didn't know, but some water was always leaking through and went to our neighbor underneath. And finally they knock on our door. It's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like there's water coming down. So we were like, oh, we didn't know. So it wasn't on us because it was the building, right? The maintenance crew that hadn't done it properly. But that's one of the areas where we could have potentially be held liable for damage to our neighbors underneath us, right? So insurance covers that if that ever becomes an issue. It is, honestly, it's probably $15 a month to get tenant insurance. It's not a whole lot, but it protects you, gives you that peace of mind. So again, tenant insurance insures people renting a house or an apartment. So let's say you rent a house, somebody breaks in and they take your stuff. The landlord covers the building, but your stuff, that's on you to cover, okay? So just letting you know. And it's not much. Here we go. Here's the table that, if the province asks you to use a table, this is exactly what it's gonna look like. And it's gonna be, this says a few important things. Tenant insurance. There's a $500 deductible. I wanna talk about that real quick. What does that mean? That is what you pay when making a claim. So I'm already looking at old exams. I always like go through various years, and this is the deductible is important. So let's say somebody smashes your front window, right? And you want to make a claim. You go to your insurance and you say, hey, my window got smashed. How much is it going to cost you? $1,000. Okay, we'll cover it. But what do you have to pay as the person making the claim? You'll have to pay $500 out of your own pocket. Okay, so that's what that means. So that's what you pay when you make a claim. Unlike car insurance, listen carefully to this part. Vehicle insurance, you only pay this if you're at fault, correct? You only pay this if you're the one at fault in that accident. With home insurance or tenant insurance, as soon as you make the claim, you will have to pay the deductible. Okay? So let's say somebody smashes your window and your friend can fix it for $400. Would you make a claim? I wouldn't, because they will charge you $500 flat. No questions asked, no matter what. So you got to be careful. You got to like figure out, is it worth it? Is it not? Right? So all these prices here are based on a $500 deductible that you only pay $500 when you make a claim. So what you're going to do is you must pick a number from this region right here. Okay. Okay, so I will just say this. Must pick one from here, right? So you're going to have to, from this table, pick at least one of these numbers that appear. And what do these numbers, these are your premiums that you're paying every year, by the way. What does that depend on? Look at the chart and you can actually probably figure out. It depends on whether you want standard insurance, which is like basic, or you want comprehensive, which is like premium, okay? It covers a bit more. So that depends on whether or not you're going to have to pay, let's say, $158 or $200. What else does the insurance take into account? How much your stuff is worth, the coverage. So you basically will match the coverage and the either standard or comprehensive, and then you pick one value in that way. So the question will give you that information. Okay? If you go over, right? If you go over, for each additional $1,000 of additional insurance you need, you're going to have to pay an extra $450 or $550 for every extra $1,000. So that is something that we're going to have to take into account when that time comes. And so this one I will say maybe. And in particular, only if coverage goes over, can you see that? Yeah, goes over, and this is the maximum that this table has a number for, $75,000. Okay. 75,000. So it's a maybe only if you're going over. Last but not least, I want you to highlight this bottom part. If you want a $200 deductible instead of a $500, okay, what are we going to do? It says it right here. Your table will say that too. Increase premium by 10%. So basically what we're going to do is premium times 1.10. That's what we're gonna do. And last but not least, no tax on insurance. And the reason I'm saying this is because there was a time where there was a tax on insurance not too long ago, but they dropped it. Okay, so if anybody ever tells you, hey, you need to pay taxes on insurance, you tell them no. Mr. Dirksen told me otherwise. Okay, so 42. So this table, in conjunction with this really ugly formula that you're going to see on the next page, let's go to 42, is what you're going to use to calculate someone's insurance. And I know it looks ugly, but trust me, I'll teach you how to use it, and it works. It works every time. So I would say definitely have this boxed in, highlighted. What else did I want to add here? There was something I wanted. So this is your table rate. Obviously, you're going to get that from the table. Listen carefully to this part. This, whatever follows the plus here, this ugly part right here, is only going to ever be used if you need more than $75,000 worth of insurance, okay? If you're getting insurance for anything less than $75,000, this whole part, literally, you get to just cross it out. Don't even worry about it, okay? But if you go over, you need this. So let's use that. And also, this times 1.10 is only if you want that $200 deductible policy. If you want a $500 deductible policy, you also ignore that part right there, okay? So let's use it. Let's try it. Joan rents an apartment, so renting, we're talking rent, and wishes to buy $65,000 standard form. Okay, so these are important. The fact that you're renting means that you need tenant insurance, and you want $65,000 worth of insurance. You're wanting a standard policy, and you want a $500 deductible. What is her annual insurance premium? So I'm going to use this formula right here. Insurance. Let's use those big square brackets at first. Table rate. I must pick one from the table. So let's go find a number based on the information we have here. Standard 65,000. Okay. So I want standard, and I match it with 65,000. I know these numbers are a little hard to see, but it's $315 that you're paying. So take that number with you. That goes in here. $315. Do we need to worry about this part right here? This ugly part? No, because we're not going over 75,000. So it literally just turns into that. It's just the $315 that you'll be paying every year. Do I need to multiply it by 1.10? No, because I want a $500 deductible policy. This is only required if you wanted a $200 policy. So literally, your answer is $315 per year. All of these amounts are per year, okay? If they do monthly, just divide it by 12, correct? You can do this, guys. You can do this. Let's do another one. I'm going to add a bit of a difficulty layer to every question as we progress. So let's use this one right here and always have the formula ready to go. Dimitri is currently renting an apartment. So we're renting again. That's important because you're going to have to pick between this and owning in the future. You're renting, you like to purchase insurance to cover the contents of the apartment, and estimates that you have $90,000 worth of belongings. Question, are we over the 75,000? definitely. So this is going to be a bit more challenging here. You would like to purchase comprehensive insurance, right, with a $200 deductible. What does that mean? When you see the $200 deductible, immediately you know you're going to have to multiply your final answer by 1.10. You're going to have to add 10% to our premium at the very end. At the very end. So let's do the rest. Insurance. I left a lot of space to write out the formula one time. Okay. So we're going to go table times overage times dollars per thousand over 1,000. All of that multiplied by 1.10. So the first thing is, let's get our table rate. That one you must have a table rate. Let's go get it. Come with me. So we are at comprehensive 90,000. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. Okay. So let's grab the table rate. Comprehensive, you max out, right? Look up here. So the 454 gets you to 75,000. You're going to have to pay $550 extra for the additional insurance you want. So we go 454. That gets you a mark already, by the way, if you grab that number and do it correctly. Did I go times here, folks? Can you change that, please? It's plus. It's very important. You're going to pay a lot of insurance if you multiply. Please change that to a plus. Plus, how much over did we go? And I'm going to do this right here. 90,000 minus 75,000, because that's the max. Okay? And so you're over by $15,000 over. This is just an aside. This is a bubble. It's always going to be minus 75,000 when you're dealing with tenant insurance. So the overage, the extra insurance that you need to pay for is 15,000. And how much is it per $1,000? $550, right? You're with me, right? It's this $550 here. It's either $450 or $550. I want comprehensive, so I need to pay $550 extra for every $1,000 of insurance that is required. Then you close the square bracket, and we multiply all of that by 1.10 at the end, because we do want a $200 policy. Sorry, it's a little crooked. And now, please refrain from typing this whole thing in one shot. It's not gonna work out for you. So watch what I do here. The square brackets are there for a reason. Keep them, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out this beast right here. That ugly beast of a expression. All right. So what I do is I just go 550 divided by 1,000, and then you multiply that by 15,000. So you're paying $82.50 extra. So it's not a whole lot more, okay? But that is the additional amount you're going to have to pay for going over the 75K. And then we're going to go times 1.10. Still, don't rush. Let's add this up now. So you grab your calculator and you just go plus 454. So you're paying $536.50, still in the square brackets. I'm letting you know that all of this shrinks down to that, and then it shrinks down to this. Then times 1.10. Question. If I wanted a 500 deductible policy, that would be it, correct? That's it. I want a $200 deductible, so I need to add 10% to it. That's why we're doing this last step here. So you have to read. So I take that number and I just multiply it by 1.10 because it adds 10% to that premium. So it is $590.15 per year. Always. Every time you use that table, it's going to be a yearly amount. So there you have it. This had all bells and whistles. We went over 75,000. We had to add 10%. So basically those are the three things that you need to watch out for. Am I going over? Is it a $200 deductible policy? Okay. It's never going to be zero though, okay? Understand that. It's never going to be zero because some students like miraculously put in numbers and then it's a zero. It's like, it can't be, man. Okay, so it has to be something. So let's try this. I'm going to stop right now because we're going to do homeowners insurance after, which is exactly the same. It's just a bigger table. So can you please go with me? We're going to skip a few pages. Go to 47. 47. And those are all tenant insurance questions on 47. And I want you to try this. Okay? I'm not going to give you the answers just yet. I will in a bit. Maybe first step should be add this to your study sheet. Add the formula to your study sheet. And then do this looking at your study sheet. Maybe that would be the best way to do it. Okay, let's take a few minutes. On home insurance. So make sure you put your phones away, okay? So 47. Let me just make sure I have this right. What's the annual cost to insure an apartment for $65,000? Comprehensive, $200 deductible. So I must get a rate, so it's $65,000 comprehensive. Just quickly gonna go get that table. 65 comprehensive, that's $400 even, right? That gets you a mark, just getting it. If you have to get it from a table, that's it. I might give you this on the test or on a quiz. I might give you this number. In this case, we have to go get it. Am I over? I'm not over the 75K, right? So that's it. Do I need to multiply this by 1.10? I need to add, yeah. So this is 440. Boom. Next, apartment 80,000. I am over. Here, I'll show you a trick. After a while, you're gonna know, right? 75,000 is the max when it's renting. So I would right away do this if possible somewhere on the side, and you know that you're over by $5,000. Okay, so if you use the formula, standard at 75K, right? Because at first you want to max out. So standard, so $359 a year covers $75,000 worth of stuff. So the 359 goes in here. And I'm over by 5,000. I've already determined that. How much am I paying for every $1,000? $450, right? It's right here, $450. And then close the bracket. I do need to multiply it by 1.10 because the $200 deductible is what I want. And then you just clean it up, okay? Do this separately. You get $22.50 out of that. Out of this whole thing, you get $22.50. Make sure your formula doesn't show times here. It shows adding, okay? Times 1.10. Do it one more time. You add these up. You get $381.50. Okay? Multiply this by 1.10. You're almost there. This is it 419? 419.85? I thought something was wrong. I have a note there. 419.65. I'm gonna change that later. 419.65. Actually, do it right away, right? Because you know it's gonna bite you. The annual cost to insure an apartment 120,000. I'm gonna take away 75 right away because I know that's the max. And it ends up being that I'm over by 45,000. Okay, so that's somewhere on the side you want to be doing that. You want to go to your study sheet. The formula for home and renting is the same formula. The formula I just came up with because students always ask me for it. It's like, can you give me a formula? Can you give me a formula? And this is what I got, right? So comprehensive, you max out, and that's 454 that you must pay. You're over by 45,000, and it's 550 for every $1,000 of additional insurance you want. Do I need to multiply this by 1.10? No, it's a $500 deductible. Leave it. Okay, so it's 454 plus whatever this is, which is 247.50. And then just add it up. Notice I get rid of the square brackets because there's nothing multiplying outside, so you can just feel free to get rid of those. They're basically just there to tell you do this first and then multiply. So this is 701.50. Okay. Let me ask you something. How could you reduce your insurance? If you go to the insurance, like how could you pay less? Let's look at our table. What affects your insurance premium? Whether you pick a $500 or a $200 deductible, so your deductible affects it. What else? Whether or not, like the amount of coverage you need. So you could go back and say, you know what? I don't want 75,000. I think I only have $50,000 worth of stuff. Now you're paying less, but you're also getting less coverage, but maybe that's okay for you, right? So keep that in mind. I do ask questions like that, but I think today we're just going to focus on the math primarily. Let's go to home insurance. Homeowners insurance. This is on 46. Just stay with me a little longer and then I'll let you work. I do want you to ace these ones. Okay, I want you to be really good at. Did the first one have this part here, do this part first? Yeah, it did. It did have that exact same little statement. Okay. What's the difference now, folks? Homeowners insurance, let's go to 44 real quick. Look at this table. It's a lot scarier, but I'll show you that it's not. Okay? Make sure you pay attention. This part right here, when it comes to homeowners insurance, it covers your building and your stuff. This is on 44, page 44. It covers your building and the stuff you have, even your car. If your car is parked inside the garage and a fire comes out, like it's also going to be covered. So watch this. It has 4 main areas. Metro Winnipeg, anything that has Winnipeg in it, you know you're going to be in here. And it's always standard or comprehensive. Area 2, you're going to be here. Area 3, here. Area 4, here. So basically the question will tell you which area you live in. Okay. You know what matters? What the only thing is that what puts you in area 2 versus area 3 is this. Areas depend on distance from 44, write this down, emergency services. Sorry, I got all messed up in high school because I came from Paraguay. It was all handwritten. I came here, it's like, no, you don't need to print. And so now I'm always like, it's always in between. So this is emergency services. That's what determines where they put you and which area your house is in. And why is that so important? I'm just going to tell you one example that I know for a fact. If you live north of, like past the perimeter in the north, they have volunteer firefighters. They don't have a fire hall ready to go jump on the truck and come to your rescue. They have volunteer firefighters. What does that mean? You go to your regular job and you get a call, and if you pick up the call, like there's an app, they just say, yes, I'm coming. You drop what you're doing at your job site, you go to the fire hall, change, jump on the truck, then you go to the fire. So guess what? If a fire starts, like my good friend is one of those, we're basically just coming to make sure people are safe. Like the house is probably going to be burnt down by the time we get there. So as an insurance company, that's concerning to you, right? It's like, well, that's going to mean a lot of money that we're going to have to dish out to replace that house. Okay? So emergency services is where it's all, that's what it's all about. Okay? So the further you are from emergency services, the more the price will change. And you can tell a little bit, if you look at the prices, they tend to go up as you move to the right of this table. So I'm just giving you a little bit of perspective. In Winnipeg, the problem is if you're in the north end, or if you're in areas where the houses are really close together, what's the problem there? If your neighbor catches fire, it could come over to you, right? So that's the danger in the city. So they do the math. I'm just teaching you that it's all has to do with emergency services. I would say have this under insurance, because they do ask if you know that various ways, sneaky ways. Okay, you just have to say, if you said it depends if you live close to a firefighter hall or anything like that, you get the marks. Okay, you don't have to say emergency services. Just make sure you understand that. Anyways, just like before, guys, you're gonna have to pick a number from this highlighted area. You have to pick one. So pick one, okay? You're gonna understand that in a bit. The question will be worded in such a way that you can pick one of these numbers. So we'll say you live in Winnipeg, you want comprehensive, and you want $100,000 worth of coverage. Boom, you match it, you get that one value you need to get from here. And just like before, what happens if you go over? What's the max here? Right, max right here? The maximum that this table allows for is 200,000, which is, for most of us right now, that's like half of our house is insured, right? So most of us will go over and need additional insurance. So this one is maybe, okay? This one is a maybe if you go over. Maybe, okay? And just like before, what happens if you want a $200 policy? You still multiply by 10%, okay? So we multiply by 1.10 at the very end to make that happen. So this is the table you want to use. I forgot to tell you, the tables are in here. Should have told you right away, right? But this just to make it easier so you don't have to flip back and forth. So this is your tenant insurance. All areas of Manitoba, as soon as you own, they divide it up into areas. That's it. Okay? So this is the table you want to use. Have it handy for the examples that we're about to do here. So come with me. Let's do 46. 46. I'm actually fairly confident that you could probably do it on your own by now, but I will just do one or two just to make sure. Brent, on 46, we own a house in Winnipeg. We want $175,000 worth of coverage, comprehensive, and we want a $200 deductible. What is your annual premium? I won't rewrite the formula because it's right there. Just follow it. Let's go get our table rate. You use your yellow. I will use my yellow. Let's see if we can both get the same number. Okay? So what did you get? Oh, you already, that's the final answer? Okay. But just the value first, 668, right? I'm not going over, correct? So that's it. I'm not going over the 200,000. I do need to multiply it by 1.10. And yes, now we get that answer. Let me just get to my page here. 668, you were saying? 734.80. Yeah, 734.80. Boom, you've got the mark. This one, to be honest, would only be worth a mark, 1 mark, okay? I'll take that back. 1 mark for getting this table rate and another mark for multiplying by 1.10. So this would be a 2-mark question on the exam and on my test. That's how that would go. Let's go to the next one. Jill owns a house in Pine Falls and is within 8 miles of a fire hydrant. This is too much information, but it's kind of giving you an indication that you're close to a fire hydrant. But the most important piece here is that you're in Area 3. You want $225,000 worth of insurance. You're over, correct? Yeah. Standard, $500 deductible. Calculate Jill's insurance. Remember, this is homeowner's insurance. Do not pick the other one, the tenant insurance. You're going to get the wrong answer. So insurance. Oh, let's do the minus 200,000 right away. I'm going to do that right here because I can. So you're 25,000 over. You need to pay extra for that extra coverage. Please don't lie about things on your house when you get your insurance. Like some people lie about the basement being finished because it's going to be cheaper. But if there's a fire and they realize your basement was finished, they're not going to pay, right? Like you're fooling yourself. So tell them what you have and they will cover you accordingly. What is the number we need to get? I'll do this with you. Area 3 standard. So we're in Area 3 standard. And we max out. Because this gets us $200,000 worth of coverage, right? Right there. So 726, and don't forget this one. You pay extra, you pay $355 for every 1,000 that you go over. So 726 plus you're over by 25 grand. And you're going to pay $355 for every $1,000 of extra insurance you want. You close this up. Do I need to multiply this by 1.10? The answer is no, because it's a $500 deductible. So that's not needed. If you want to do this, you can just say, okay, $500 deductible, that's gone. So let's clean that up. We will figure out what this is. So you go 355 divided by 1,000 times 25,000. That's 88.75. You add these two together, and there it is, 814.75. If I try to fix my answer keys, okay? If my answer keys add taxes to this, please ignore, right? Like just look at, if I go times 1.07, because it used to be 7% PST, ignore that answer that follows that. Just stop at the one before that. I think I fixed them all, but maybe one or two escaped. So don't be adding taxes. It's not happening, okay? All right. 20 minutes. Please ace it. So study sheet, formula on there. And I want you to go to 48 and just work through those questions. Okay? So 48 all the way to 49. And if we have time, I want to talk about 50. If you feel like you can answer 50, they're really good questions to be able to answer. So I'm just going to say 48 to 50 right now. And I'll post the answer key so that you can check. And be ready for an AC tomorrow.